I'm working on a 2014 Audi A4. The car came in for just a inspection. They only had a couple little complaints. One of them was the steering was kind of stiff. I made a lot of other videos about this in the past. It's the intermediate shaft. One of the lower U-joints always seizes up on these. I'll show you when it's up in the air. But other than that, they just wanted an inspection. So it's got 90,000 miles on it. I plugged in the scan tool. I checked for a timing chain stretch, and it's over 4 degrees or negative 4 degrees. So that indicates this thing is about due for a new timing chain. They've been adding coolant to it. That's another thing on their list. The water pump's starting to leak. Pretty normal job. You can see from the top, if you look at the bottom edge, that there's some coolant kind of pooling up at the bottom edge of the casting right under the water pump. It's leaking. Very common on these. Yeah, so I'll lift it up and show you what else. Lift it up in the air. You can see they kind of hit a curb here, and it broke the core support in the front. That core support holds kind of everything together. It holds the front radiator, the intercooler, the condenser, everything. And this is kind of one of the mounting locations. So whatever, you see it pretty often. It's all plastic. It's right off the front. It's mounted really low, so it's super easy to catch it on things like this guy did. And it didn't break the intercooler, the radiator's not leaking, anything like that, so there's no real indication from the driver's seat that there's anything wrong. But to fix this, it's a very expensive fix, and it's very time consuming. Yeah, you can see it also, you know, broke that. If you look at the control arm bushings, they're all starting to separate right there. I don't know how well this comes through, but you can see they're starting to rip. They're not that bad yet. They're still kind of holding their position like they should. These are fluidic, so usually it'll start to, you'll see a bunch of fluid leaking out the bottom of the bushing when they get real bad. But the front bushings are the same way, and the upper bushings look about the same too. This is just your standard kind of 90,000 mile Audi. Up here, this is the customer's primary complaint. If you look at right there, that's the U-joint that I'm talking about. Those things seize up real bad. You get it to, usually it seizes up one way where it's easy to steer, then difficult, then easy, then difficult, then easy, then difficult as you turn the steering wheel. You can spray some penetrating oil on it or whatever, and it'll buy you some time. Maybe it'll feel a little bit better for a little while, but ultimately the shaft needs to be replaced. It's a very common known issue. Pretty easy to replace, but if you bring it to a repair shop, it won't be super cheap. So just between these things alone, it's very expensive. It's going to cost the customer a lot of money. You can see the shocks are not in the greatest shape. Coil springs are not broken. The car drives great, honestly. Other than the steering, everything feels fine. But between replacing the core support and replacing the timing chain, if you were to replace the control arms, which I would probably hold off on these, or the bushings, if you were to do all this stuff, it would be thousands of dollars. It'd be a few $1,000s on a car that's, you know, that seemingly drives great. So that's just kind of something that you see all the time, and it's hard to explain to customers that their car that seems pretty all right needs that much work. And yeah, so I prioritize it. I like to take, you know, good pictures and show them that, you know, these bushings are still holding their position. It's not urgent. There's no big deal there. As far as the timing chain, that is more urgent, because if that fails, you're in, you know, you have a much bigger bill coming, you know, with bent valves and things like that. But yeah, so that's all. Just pretty normal job. Thanks for watching.